I guess what I liked about the script was that like you feel like these are real people mainly, other than Simon's like a supervillain kind of thing.
Honestly, it is a joy to speak with the three of you. Thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem.
No,
Uh,
happy.
the Omro heist is really fun. It is such a solid heist film, from start to finish. The everything just sort
Thank
of
you.
pops. Yeah,
Geez,
Jamie.
thanks.
Sorry, yeah, Jamie. Where'd it come from?
I came from Simon Phillips and Ken, who Ken bought a bank. Ken could tell you the story, and oftentimes, as independent filmmakers, the first thing that we're trying to look for is like a really great, interesting location. We shot movies on an actual submarine, like abandoned warehouses or whatever. And Ken, you want to tell the story about buying this bank?
Yeah, I didn't buy a bank. I bought a bank building.
Bought a bank.
The bank was closed, but it was really a nice bank building. And when I went in there the first time, had this wonderful safe. And I don't know, I wasn't, and so I called Simon up. Simon and I have done movies over the last 7 years or so, and I said, you got to come down and see this bank. Because banks are very difficult locations to get. And so he drove down and spent a couple days with me, and went back to Canada. And between him and Jamie, they hammered out a script that was extremely interesting. It was interesting on so many different levels. It had different types of characters, different layers for different types of characters, some kind of irreverent moments, some kind of outlandish moments that didn't even seem that they would make the final cut. Um, and uh, and we decided to go ahead and green light it, and that's how we got her done.
I should say Simon's not here right now, but he wrote the script. It's totally his baby. Oftentimes, the movies that I make with Simon, we've made seven that he'll write the script, and then we do change things either before we shoot. We definitely change things as we're filming. I like to try to kind of like if something doesn't make any sense to me, like we'll try to work out a way to make it work, kind of thing, or add something, add a layer to it. But Simon wrote this 100%.
Well, this is honestly, like I said, the film works. It just works, and you make such good use of the bank. I didn't think of the bank as being that important a location, which is weird for
Right.
saying that for a heist film, but you use
Well,
it so well.
I mean, Reservoir Dogs, they don't even go. You don't even see the bank.
Yeah.
Right? Because they never had the money to actually have a bank set. That's the reason why that movie doesn't have the actual heist because they never had the money for it. But the hardest challenge for me as the director and the cinematographer was to make this bank look like a movie,
Mm.
and have a lot of talking head scenes, back and forth talking heads, and make it look like you're actually in a movie when you're at a very sterile. Well, I don't know when that building was made, but it's like 20, 25 years old. But yeah, I think hopefully we pulled it off.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
if you look at the bank, it is a big space, and we did our best to fill it in, not knowing which angles we would be using shooting. But Jamie did a real good job. We texturing the atmosphere to make it, look like a movie.
And Ken had all the logos and everything made up.
Yeah.
For the bank, so that kind of added a thing. The sign out the back, I should say this because this was a bit of a nightmare. I did all the special effects for this movie. There wasn't many in it, but there's like stupid things in the back where all the cop cars were. You see the logo of the bank on the side of the building. This is a boring story. Probably no one cares about this but me. But that's all digital. That sign's not really there. And we added that after the fact, like it was an afterthought kind of thing, and it was a bit of a nightmare because people walk in front of it all the time. But yeah. It was a
Uh,
lot of work for Jamie. A lot of work for Jamie.
yeah. Anthony, what excited you to take on the role of Chief Johnson, if you will?
So the Ken and I have known each other since our teenage years, and doing dabbling in community theater at the time, both of us as actors and performers. And while he was going to pharmacy school at the same time, and then eventually our paths. He got into a little bit of producing, first theater producing, and he produced a play that I was in. I got Star Spangled Girl that we did, and then
That was that was 1976.
so
That
from
was a year before I was born, by the way.
thanks. So then it work took me first to Chicago, and then to New York doing film and TV and a bit of Broadway too. And then we had stayed in touch, Ken and I. And so a couple of times over the course of years, he started getting involved in film producing through connections and trips to Las Vegas and some people there. And he had come to me, Ken had come to me a couple of times and said, "Hey, I've got this project and I think there's a role for you." But I always had conflict, work conflict, couldn't do it. And then eventually came to me with Omro Heist, the Omro Heist, and was looking for a lead actress, ingenue actress, to play the female lead. And he asked if I knew of an actress in Wisconsin. Didn't knew of an actress in Chicago, who I recommended, Mackenzie Jones, who's in the film, and does a terrific job. And then he came back to me again, and said, "Listen, there's this role of this police chief in there, small town police chief. I think you'd do a great job doing it. Take a look at it." And so what I did was read the script that Simon had written, but also looked at the trailers that Jamie and Simon had worked on, and Ken, of some films that they had done. And I could see that the quality of the work was tremendous in the trailers. So reading the script and looking at it, you quickly see it's character driven. The characters are complex. There's obstacles in the script that the characters have to overcome, and they come in specific beats. And so is all, the formula for what I thought could be a really successful film. Along the way, I knew that Ken's relationships in the city of Omro were, full and expanding. And he had access to locations and logistics there, which I knew would come into play to making a film that was done on a minimal budget, but would look so much more expensive too. And so all of that stuff was, intriguing to me and enticing to want to get involved.
I love that you're bringing up how the city works together and how the script really really jumps off the page, because each character here has their own journey throughout this film, and I think it absolutely works. And one of the things I loved about this film, and I would love to hear from all of you on this one, there's this really fascinating conversation going on about the lines between good and evil. And I think it's interesting that it says the lines between good and evil are less clear than they used to be, if you will. And I would love to hear from you if you think that's true, because every character in here is a little bit murky in one way or another.
Well, isn't that life though, right? Like everyone wants to paint themselves as the hero, but we're all good and bad kind of thing. So like I guess what I liked about the script was that like you feel like these are real people mainly, other than Simon's like a super villain kind of thing. But everyone else is the regular Joe trying to like tackle the day, and it just happens to be an extraordinary day. And who's good and who's bad? Like you think the mayor's good, but maybe he's not. You're not quite sure. You don't know who to trust.
Yeah, I mean, I'll mirror on what Jamie is saying as well. Even the protagonist, which is the police chief and his son as well. The dynamic between those two characters alone. It's father son and conflict. The son is left, and prodigal son is left and come back. Oh, you've left the small city, gone to the big city. Now you're going to come back with your big city attitude and try and tell us what to do. And he resents that, and also the additional complexity of the fact that he left at a time the police chief is widowed, and so there's an undercurrent of resentment of what his son has done. But through the process and the course of the film, there's a healing process that takes place. As Jamie was saying, we all have fallacies. So even good guys have bad sides, bad aspects as well, which makes for complexity of character. And it's great for an actor. It's things that you have to overcome in the course of a film.
And it makes for interesting story. Like I like you present it one thing and you think it's one thing, and then you find it's something else. Then you find that is something else. Like that keeps me interested in a script. Everything that looks black and white at the beginning is in fact all gray.
Right. The character of the mayor was kind of like the guy that really didn't want to get caught or exposed, but he kind of knew he may be. And his anger or his upsetness was due to the fact that he got caught, not that he did anything. And I really find that being very interesting. It's not I'm not upset that I did what I did. I'm upset that I got caught.
Yeah.
And I kind of know this is going to be my Waterloo here, okay? But I'm still playing it smooth and just hoping beyond hope that this is going to work out.
And the extent someone like your character will go that has the resources to be able to hire someone like Simon that would take it that far. I'll
Yeah,
cover I'll cover your butt.
Yeah.
And who cares who dies in the
right.
process?
Yeah. Yeah. There's a recklessness to your character, Ken. That's fascinating, and it's all self-protection, which is fun to see play out. Um, Pivoting a little bit, Jamie, I gotta ask, why the Golden Bachelor? That gets quite the shout out in this film. I was watching, I'm like, wait, what?
Did you laugh?
I did. It was
Okay,
great.
good, because that's the whole goal. No, was there, that and so that wasn't in the script. Like Simon and I kind of really invented that in the day. And we shot the tackle bait stuff later. So when he's down with the hostages and he has that home gardening magazine, whatever, we thought that would be really funny. Like this guy, like this hard, gruff dude, is like really into reality TV, trash TV, and he's getting the latest copy of Home and Gardening. Like I find layering that, like he's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
hitman number two or goon number two. He doesn't really have a story other than he's a goon. So just peppering that character, and again, we invented that all in the day. Made it. That's what I like about doing this. Is like just you just added a whole complexity to that character. That's not really important, but it's entertaining,
right.
and it
Well,
makes it makes the whole movie a little bit more round.
the deal with the chapstick too was
Yeah.
really neat because it's
That's
where did that come from?
well, you know where that came from. Is like literally he was doing that. He was putting chaplip on, and I'll be like, oh, wouldn't it be really funny if your character was doing that? Like he's putting chaplip on when he's like, do you want some? Do you? I just thought that was fucking hilarious.
I love when the guys who are supposed to be the bad guys just seem sort of like human people. Uh,
Mm,
in this film, but in any film, it's just sort of these little moments. I think you're right.
yeah,
Add to it really well.
like they're just supposed to grunt and hold a gun, but like you have them have that kind of complexity that I don't know. It's just fun, not
Uh,
necessary, but fun.
yeah. I wanted to ask you too, and ask you all this. I mean, this might be a difficult question to answer. I admit it before I ask, but it's one thing I felt when I was watching the film. There seems to be a lot of conversation going on about time. Like Anthony, you're talking about being on time when your son comes back, and the villains are talking about, or no, is it the villain? Life got in. Oh no, it was the conversation going on later. Life is short, Jess. Life is precious. I think it's Simon talking to one of the hostages.
Yes.
I just wondered if that spoke to you at all, or as actors, if that spoke to you, and Jamie, why you thought that was an interesting thing to throw in.
I don't think we really thought that much about the time aspect of it. That might have been a subconscious thing that just kind of poured out like that. And you're pointing that out. I've never really noticed, to be completely honest.
That's fair.
That
I can
is.
give you a bullshit answer, but that's the truth.
I think also what happens is, and with it's reflective of personality, and I mean, in the case of what was stated by the police chief, is that you know we imagine things to be very aligned, and we want things to be that way in the play out on in the schedule and the time frame that we conceive because we think it's going to be easier. But the truth of the matter is, within life, it's so complex. I've said this before and a couple times earlier today, and even in a small town setting. People have this notion of I'm going to go into a small town setting that's going to simplify my life. And you look at what's going on in the flooding that's going across the United States right now, where small town is wiped out, and they're still trying to unravel what's going on, and also time frame and money and all of that. where in the case in Texas, where there was a proposition on the board to put in sirens, warning sirens, and it was never done because of the mayor of the town at the time had said that it would be, who wants to hear these railing sirens going on in the middle of the night, and so time sequencing years later, now the disaster happens, and you look back on it and go, why didn't we do it?
Mm.
And so that time, the way time plays into all of these events, and the fact that it can also happen in a small town, I think plays to the wider audience as well. I mean, that's also part of the complexities of the film on a whole, too, is that it can happen anywhere.
That's true. That's true. By placing it in Omro, it just feels like it could be any place, and I think that gives it some life as well. I know I know we're starting to run out of time, guys. But I would just love to hear from you what you hope people take away from their time at the bank in the Omro heist.
For me, I hope they're entertained. Like, I hope that they see this. I hope they find this movie. I hope they watched it, and I hope that they forgot about their troubles for 90 minutes and enjoyed it.
I hope that people watch this film and say, I hope these guys make more of these.
Yes, that too. Yes.
And especially it is, I'm really, sort of proud of what was achieved by this entire sort of creative team and the actors as well. With limited resources that were expanded by relationships and the support that we got in the community in Omro and the state of Wisconsin. We talked about too that now Wisconsin's offering 30% tax breaks, and that that's a platform for more to be done. We've already and sort of semi-discussed. We want to go back to Omro and shoot more of these.
Yeah, I think that that people would walk away saying it was a good movie, but it was self-contained. The bad guy got exposed, the good people got together, dad and son got together, son and ex-girlfriend got together, everybody kind of went on, and next day was going to be probably business as usual in Omro.
Oh man, I can't even imagine that. Just chaos, and then it's just like, well,
Exactly.
work on time.
Right back. The bank's going to open on
Bank's going to open. Yeah. Absolutely. Honestly, thank you. It is a joy to speak with the three of you. The film,
Yeah, no problem.
So much fun. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Cheers.
Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.